A good ride, avoiding reality part-time since 2006 and full-time since 2010. So here we are looking at the Rossi Cobra, and basically I just kind of wanted to do this all at once while it's all in my mind. Rode each of these, tested them all on the Rossi 1LF 159 that I was borrowing, and then compared them, all these, against the Salomon hologram. But we're here to talk today, this very moment, not today, but now, about the Cobra. And you know, I gave you a pretty in-depth review of it on the table below, but now here's a little take of this on snow. And I compared this to all three of these bindings, and this is definitely the least responsive of the three in Rossi's line for sure, that I've tried. You know, decent high back, good turn initiation. Let's just start out with the negatives. Just like I said before on the table review down below, it just doesn't really have a real dynamic feel underfoot, but it's not as bad as I thought it would be. I thought it was going to truly suck and just make this board that's a fun, playful, kind of, you know, pretty dynamic ride. I thought I was going to make it pure crap, and it didn't. So maybe I had low expectations, but this base plate just didn't, it definitely deadened it, and the feel underfoot is definitely on the lower end of the spectrum, but it just didn't kill it, and it didn't seem to really like damage the board too much. Or anything at all. And you know, like I said, I love the adjustability. Now the rest of this binding is really good. This is hands down my favorite way to adjust a binding. This idea is brilliant. I'm not sure long term how well it works, but in the time that I had it, I loved it. I just love that adjustability. The high back, not bad. You know, a little too forward for me, but overall really good. The ankle strap, really comfortable, really form-fitting. These ratchets are very smooth. So really, I mean, if Rossi could start playing around with, like, you know, creating less of a dead spot here and here, and adding more shock absorption, I think they'd have a really good binding. But for the price point, you're doing pretty well. So that's kind of how I see the Cobra. Just, you know, up top, great. You know, the binding's just personal. I mean, the high back's just personal preference. Everything above is great. It's just this base plate needs a little work, in my opinion. I'd love to see just some, you know, kind of like every other binding out there, with just some foam or some way to kind of reduce the dead spot and kind of make this board a little more, make this binding, make the board a little more dynamic. So there you have it. That's a Cobra.